gonna do 9 things that I wish I knew in my early 20s, in no particular order. And at the end of the video, if you stay and watch, I'll give you a bonus one as well. Okay. So I made some notes here. So first thing is money buys you options for the future. That's pretty obvious if it hasn't been obvious already. The more older you get, is the less time you have to spend with your friends, with your family, but also the more money you'll make, hopefully, right? So money buys you options and choices in the future. Money buys you the ability to say no to people in the future. If you keep on squandering and burning your best years, like right now, these are your best years. If you keep on burning out and keep on trading your time for money and then going and squandering that money, then pretty much when you're in your 30s and your 40s, you won't be the same person because you're going to get there, right? You won't be the same person and you'll be still trading that same time for money. But if today you decide that you're going to save the money that you're trading your time for, right? If you save that money, maybe 10 years, 20 years from now, the money that you saved, the money that you had, would have already had more money. It would have given birth to coins and cents, then eventually into dollars, $100, maybe into $1,000 later, right? But that money is going to work for you almost like a slave and make you more money, right? So money buys you options later. It doesn't just make you rich. It gives you the choice to tell somebody, no, fuck you, I don't want to do this, I don't want to work here. Money gives you that option to leave, right? Money gives you that exit strategy, right? You might not see it now because there are way more flashier things in front of you, way more other things that you'd rather be doing, but money will buy you those options in the future. So it's best to hold on to the money that you have and save it. Because if you don't, in the future, you're going to be working for money and your money won't be working for you. So, in all of these tips, I've included a practice, like what I think is best practice, what you can do now, today, to, see some improvement in a week, in a month's time, right? The problem with us, our generation, or the upcoming generation, my generation as well, is we don't really have patience. We can't really wait for anything. If we don't see anything happening today, then we don't really want it. That's a major problem, but that's your problem, not mine, right? It's your job to work and fix your own problems. Otherwise, anything and everything can go south if you fuck up. Oops. Two, oh, I forgot the practice. So, automatically have your money saved. Don't jump into investing unless you have 3 months of money stocked up, right? If you don't have your first 3 months of like fuck you money, then you should just quit right now, stop investing, because ultimately there's no point of investing if you don't have any money saved up, right? If you don't have any money saved up for a rainy day or for when an expense hits or when a car bill hits or whatever, then there's no point. There's also no point in saving money if you have credit card debt and your credit card debt is much higher than the interest or return that the stock market would give, right? That's kind of like stupid, right? So have money saved first, then invest second, right? Next up, making money can't compete with learning a skill, right? That should be obvious, right? The fast life is nice, right? Living the life that you see rappers live behind the scenes, whatever. Sorry, living the life that you see most of your favorite rappers live behind the scenes. It took a lot of skill, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and a lot of passion to drive that. Right? A lot of rappers didn't become famous overnight, and the ones who did become famous overnight had to do something to keep it that way, right? Or they just fell off. You just never heard of them, right? Maybe they made a couple M's, but like, if you're not smart with your money, if you're not smart with your finances, if you're not like a objective person who sets goals for themselves, eventually you're just going to be trending downwards, you know? So the best thing to do is to learn a skill because a skill can supplement that, right? A skill can be the difference between having nothing to eat and bringing home like bands every week or every month, right? All it is it takes time. And anything worth learning takes time, right? So try to develop a skill. A skill can be anything. A skill can be writing music, making music, producing, making YouTube videos, doing math. It's anything really. A skill is just something that you are competent and you are like good at, something that you can pursue and something that you can grow doing. And it's best to learn a skill that you're passionate about. There's no point in learning a skill that, like you don't even give a fuck about it. The more passionate about it you are, is the more quicker and easier it is to grab onto it and to run with it, so to speak. So the best practice here is to find something that you enjoy doing in your childhood, something that when you were a kid you just loved doing it. Doesn't matter whether it was playing basketball, whether it was making videos, whether it was like doing like prank calls, whatever. Something that you were good at. Anything is a skill. Anything and everything sells nowadays, right? Find that thing and find a way to monetize it. Find a way to make a little bit of money on it. Find a way to make a product around it. Find a way to teach somebody a service around it. Find a way in that universe, in that space, and profit on it. It's going to take time. It's going to take weeks, maybe months, right? But find a way to dig at it and dig at it and cement yourself in that skill and become known for it. Okay. Next up is to do the opposite of what your peers do. Now, I know this is what my parents told me. This is what everybody's parents told them. Don't be like your friends. If your friends jump off a cliff, would you follow them and jump off as well? Like, but it's for real. Like, don't try to do the opposite of what people do nowadays. You don't want to be like a groupie, or you don't want to be a follower. You want to be a pathfinder, right? You want to make your own way. You want to pave your own road, right? Like, yeah, peer pressure is real, right? Imagine sitting in a cell for like years for something that someone else did. That kind of sucks, right? Like, yeah, it's cool you didn't rat or anything, you didn't snitch on anyone, but like, is it still worth it sitting in the cell for like 1, 2 years? You know, like, I don't think it's worth it. You know, be okay being lame or being like seen as that person that's just like, like, be okay to be hated, first of all. You have to be okay with that. You have to be comfortable with that because that's what success is. It's not always like flashy cars, like nice watches, all of this stuff. It's the minutia, it's the small things, right? The everyday things and the way people go about their lives and the decisions that you make every minute, right? It is a butterfly effect. It's chaos theory in action. So the practice for this is to make your home your favorite place. You know, when you aren't working, make your house like super convenient for yourself. Make it the place that you want to be. Um, Try to avoid working from home, because if you're at home and you also work from home, then you feel trapped or sometimes caged because you're always home, right? If you can't do that, then try to find a community where there are people who are like minds, or they don't even have to be like minds. Join a swim club, join a swim club, do something that you've been wanting to do for some time now. Join a basketball league or go to the community center, sign up for the gym. Do something that puts you in community with other people, so that there's everyone has a social battery, right? If you're introverted, extroverted, doesn't matter, right? But you need to recharge that social battery. Sometimes you recharge it by staying home, and sometimes you release or use that battery up. But you gotta recharge the battery, and you also gotta use the energy that you have. Otherwise, you're gonna feel like dull, and you're gonna feel like stagnant, and you don't want that. Stagnation is a killer. So do something. Next up is the kind of the point I mentioned earlier, right? But a little bit different. It's be okay to be seen as the lame person. Nothing's wrong with being the lame one. Nothing's wrong with being the person that doesn't show out, that doesn't pop out, that doesn't come to the clubs, that doesn't spend, like bands on bottles or whatever, whatever. Sometimes it's just not worth it, man. Sometimes it really isn't. When you go out every single week and you spend money on bottles, you spend money on, like Ubers, rides, you drive, whatever, it is very taxing on your time, right? Most of all, it's very taxing on your health, right? There's almost no return on investment. And like you are kind of cheating your future self. All the money that you spend at the club to keep the club's pockets full, you really like cheat yourself of a future because if you spend like $1,000 a week or $2,000 every 2 weeks or $2,000 a month, $2,000 a month is 24,000 is pretty much 24 grand a year, right? Think about how much money. Think about how much money. Think about what your future self could do with 24 grand a year. Not even future self like 10 years from now, future self like a month from now or a year from now, right? So, like, stop cheating your future self. It's okay to be seen as lame. It's okay to be that person where, like people talk shit about you because you don't pop out or you don't whatever. If you have those type of friends, and those type of friends do exist, but it's okay to be like that. It's not the end of the world. It really isn't the end of the world. Even if it was the end of the world, you'd have much bigger things to worry about. So be okay with that, you know. The practice for this is kind of the same thing, um, you know, as before, but plan fun events for yourself. Keep yourself busy. Make an active schedule where you always have something that you need to do. Um, Busyness is great, but there's ups and downs, right? But for the most part, always have some activity that you want to do. And it doesn't always have to be something that's boring. It can be something that's fun. You can go to the movies, you can go out to eat, you can do tons of things, but just keep yourself in motion. Never stay out of motion, right? Because when you're not in motion, then you're you're almost like a target, right? Because you're just standing there. You're just waiting for something. Don't react. Be proactive. Act. Okay. Next up is changing your friend circle changes your situation, right? A lot of these things, like I'm sure most of you guys have heard, most people, like I'm sure some point throughout your life, some older had told you this, or someone that cared about you, someone that was looking out for you, and you probably just brushed it off. But a lot of these things need reinforcing. A lot of times people just need to hear something again and again and again before they actually finally get what it means, or they get it in their own way because everybody understands things in their own way, right? So a lot of times people just need to hear something in a specific way to understand it in a different way so that they can interpret it and make use of it in their own particular way. You get what I'm saying, right? But yeah, changing your friend circles change you, right? You stop cheating your future self, right? When you're around the wrong set of people. Some people don't really care if you make it. Some people don't even care if they make it. So how can you care for people who don't care for themselves? It's kind of fucked up. But yeah, you know, the people you keep around you is the energy that you allow into your life. You know, sometimes you have to let things go to see how hard you've been holding on to it. Sometimes it's better to just, like, don't force things. Just let things come to you. And if it doesn't come to you, then that's just how it was meant to be. It just wasn't meant for you. You just got to be okay with that. You're going to get older and there's going to be much worse things to happen in your life. Trust me. So be okay with those things, you know? Um, yeah. Um, you know, I think a good practice for this is you don't have to let go of all your friends immediately. You don't have to unfriend everybody. You don't have to ghost people. immediately, but the next time someone says, "Hey, let's ball up, let's smoke up," say no. Maybe you can go the next time, or whatever. But maybe just go ghost for a week and see how it goes. The idea isn't to have no friends. The idea is to limit yourself. You're almost like limit testing. You're pushing your boundaries. You're seeing how far you can go and how far you can do and what you can do exactly without so you're pretty much seeing what you can do without. It's almost like money in a sense, right? If you go without a certain subscription and you haven't used it in a while, well, you now know you can go without it, right? And it's great to know that there's things that you can go without because that's kind of like dead weight. You can just drop it. Dead weight is always a burden. You never want to have any dead weight, whether it's friends, whether it's money, whether it's anything, right? So the next time your so-called friend says, "Hey, Leo, let's do this. Let's ball up. Let's smoke up. Let's do this," it's like maybe turn them down. Who knows?
Yo quiero batidín.
Making a YouTube video.
This is weird because you know the same person.
Yeah, you're in my video shot. You're kind of making me look lame.
Wait, are you recording?
Yeah,
Oh, why didn't you tell me?
it's okay.
I thought you were doing voice notes.
No, no, no.
I just did.
Okay, vamos.
Huh?
Okay, I'll be done in like.
Do you have to start again now?
No, I'm just gonna cut it out.
Oh, I literally didn't see a start. Hey, start again.
Okay, I'm gonna start again,
Okay.
but I don't want you to hear me. So go in the room.
Yeah, I know. I did it on. This is what it.
Okay. Next up is this one doesn't apply to everybody, but if it applies to you, it applies to you. And it's to it's to view crime as a means to an end, not really like a lifestyle. So if you're one of those young bucks that you gotta get it how you gotta get it, you gotta do what you gotta do, because shit happens. Not everybody lives with their parents. Not everybody can afford to live on their own, and not everybody wants to work a 9 to 5 job while not knowing what the fuck they want to do with your life. So people do make wrong turns, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as eventually you gotta align yourself with the right thing. You have to eventually, or either you make the decision for yourself or somebody makes it for you. View crime as almost as a means to an end. You shouldn't really look at it as a lifestyle, because if you're about that life, you better be about that life. You better be about it to the fullest, not like halfway, not like 60%. It's only 100% or zero. That's really how that's really how these things work.
Mm.
Um, it's just like Mob Deep said, crime don't pay. Um, make your exit strategy, plan an exit strategy right now because if you don't have a way to get out of this, then you're going to be stuck with it for a long time, and this is something that you're definitely going to regret if you get into a position where, you know, you get sentenced or whatever, like you're going to fuck up pretty much the next 5, 10 years of your life, all over something that could be avoidable. If you're making bags, like stack it up, you know, stop wasting money at Gucci, at Louis Vuitton, and Christian Dior, and like stack it up, buy some, like do something with it, but don't touch it. That is what you're gonna thank your future self. Your future self is gonna thank you for doing that, you know? Trust me about this. Your future self is gonna thank you for saving whatever money, or, stacking this bag up, even if it's just 10K, 20K, you know? Like, you will thank yourself for that in the future. Best practice is to put your money into something that's locked in, right? If you can make like a bag a week, like what is it to just put like one, two bags away, right? Buy something that holds its value, like GICs, where your money's locked in and you can't really touch it without receiving like severe penalties, you know, like pretty much make it a pain in the ass for you to get it if you really wanted to get it back, you know? Stop making it easy for yourself, because nobody else is gonna make it easy for you, right? Um, yeah, you could bury your money if that's what you're into. Doesn't really matter, honestly. You could give it to your moms, your pops, your old lady if you trust her like that, but we are pretty much stubborn. The only way we learn is the hard way. So you got to make it super hard for yourself to access that money. Super hard, right? That's the only way you're going to be able to save it for your future self, right? Your greatest enemy is the you of today. He's your greatest enemy. He's the person that you got to fight against the most. Because if you don't fight against him and you let him win, then the you of today will always stay the same. The you of today will be the you of tomorrow, will be the you of next year, will be the you of the next like decade, and you'll be the same person. Life is not about stagnation. Life is about growth. So you want to grow. So you gotta do shit differently if you want to grow. Anyways, all right. Next up is to stop smoking or drinking away your cash flow, right? This all comes back to the same thing. You're buying weed, you're smoking up, and ultimately, like, it it's something that you pay for, but you get zero return. When you smoke away all the weed. In fact, like I used to smoke crazy, right? Like bongs are obviously the most effective way to smoke, but when you smoke like a spliff or like a blunt, like how much of the smoke just goes up in the air, right? That's just your money going up in the air. Maybe you smoke like 50% of it. Maybe you get like of the whole blunt, like maybe 40% or 50% actually goes into your lungs and actually gets you high. The other rest just goes into the air and just, just burns away pretty much, right? Not only is there health complications, like smoking too much, especially if you don't got it like that, causes financial complications, right? It can it can numb you from reality, but that's what the man wants. That's what Johnny Law wants. That's why they legalize weed and all this shit, right? They want people to be numb. They want you to be almost obedient and subservient, right? When you stop smoking, all the haze, all the cloudiness goes away, and you get control of a part of yourself that you thought was lost again, right? You're able to remember shit more often. You're able to recall. You're able to call people out. You're able to stay on top of your shit when you stop smoking, when you stop drinking. If you keep on doing these things, like longevity wise, it's just not gonna work. Maybe you'll who knows, maybe you'll live until you're 50, 60 years old, but like what would your true potential have been if you had stopped? Just think about that. Anyways, a practice you can do is you don't have to stop smoking right now. Um, damn, I'm stuffed up. You don't have to stop smoking right now. The idea isn't that I want you to stop immediately or you shouldn't stop immediately. The idea is that you should plant the seed in your head. You should keep on thinking about stop smoking. You eventually will start to loathe yourself. You'll start hating yourself for doing this, for smoking or for whatever. Like just do the math, run the numbers, and see how much you serve to gain from stop smoking, right? So yeah, plant the seed in your head that you want to stop. Don't stop. keep on doing it, but plant the seed in your head that you want to stop, right? It's the seed that's gonna grow and bear fruit. And that's what's gonna, when time comes, when the time comes to actually harvest, you're going to have the option, or you're gonna see a way out, and that's when you're gonna, that's when you jump. That's when you make your move, right? But right now, don't stop. Keep on doing what you're doing, right? The idea is to just keep it up here in your head that one day you want to. Because honestly, I can tell you to stop, but you can keep on doing whatever the fuck you want, right? That's just how shit works. Okay, we're reaching the end. Next up, being rich doesn't make you better off, right? You see your friends driving fast cars, like luxury cars, sporting nice watches, doing nice shit, like they living their life, but like at the end of the day, like you had your own upbringing, right? Whether it was easy, whether it was hard, whatever it was. Life isn't easy for anybody, right? But being rich doesn't make you better off. There are people who are rich and are still like who are still like in crazy situations, right? If you look at most of these movie stars, most of these entertainers, you got a fuck ton of money. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't make it easier having a lot of money. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying what you're thinking you need doesn't come from money. It comes from options. It comes from being able to see no, say no. It comes from being able to have the ability to do certain things. And money enables that. But being rich doesn't really, being rich is just excessive. You need money, you need options, but you don't need excess, right? Sometimes excess is not good, right? Yeah, like people say the grass is always greener on the other side, right? But honestly, it's best to sit your ass and stay your ass where you at. Sometimes that's what's best to do. Your story is your struggle, and you gotta live your struggle, right? When you have kids, your story will become their story, and your struggle will become their struggle, and that will become the story that they tell to their kids. It all seems like far fetched and like out of this world, but like time creeps up on you, man. Shit happens. You know, Eventually people from your high school will start having kids, and you'll just start seeing them on Facebook, and you'll be like, what the fuck is happening? They'll start having kids. Their kids will get older. Maybe you'll have kids, and your kids and their kids will go to school. Who the fuck knows, right? But like being rich doesn't fix all your problems. Having options does. So the best practices for this is being grateful when you wake up. Like just say all the things that you're grateful for. You know, the idea isn't that the idea isn't that being grateful is gonna fix anything, but being grateful kind of humbles you in a certain type of way, where you realize that I have all of these things, I have these things, and I just haven't realized it until I realized that I was grateful for it. It could be the simple thing. You could be grateful for being alive. You could be grateful for having shelter over your head. You could be grateful for having a computer, for having internet, for being able to pay your rent. You could be grateful for your parents while they're still alive. A lot of people, their parents aren't even alive, right? So if you have parents, you're already lucky. You're already winning in certain aspects. Some people have never even met their parents, right? So there's hundreds of things to be grateful for. And when you become grateful for all these things, you humble yourself, and you are able to take a look at your life on a broader scale, right? Like on more with more perspective, you right? Almost with more objectivity as well, right? You're able to slow down. If you're living a fast life, being grateful is a like will slow you down and will make you realize, it's okay to like take it easy because I have all these things at my disposal. How lucky am I compared to other places in the world? Some people don't have shit, right? So yeah, okay. Final one, right, is to learn to control your urges, or your urges will control you, right? Learn to control yourself when it comes to girls, drugs, money, pleasures. Nothing is inherently bad, right? And nothing is inherently good, right? It's the people who use these things and the actions and what they do that really decides good or bad, right? So just look at that, right? Nothing's bad necessarily. Money's not bad, drugs aren't bad, and like girls aren't bad either, right? But it's the people who use them that make it bad, right? For example, I know it's kind of far, it's kind of way out there to say drugs aren't bad, but a lot of people don't consider weed a bad thing, right? Neither do I, right? Now you have other drugs that are like cocaine and whatever, like crack and all of that shit. That was made for a specific reason, right? That was made to make profit. Maybe that in and of itself is inherently bad because someone made that to make profit off of other people, and that's not good. But like things that are natural, like weed, whatever, whatever, isn't inherently bad. You have some drugs that were made, like LSD by the government or whatever the fuck it is, acid. And some of these drugs are eye opening, mind changing, and they're still not inherently bad. You know, women, money, they're not bad, right? It's just you who use and abuse these things that make them bad. You gotta learn self control, you gotta learn self discipline. I don't have a practice for this one. I don't have something that you need to follow for this one. This is you got to put in the work day in and day out if you want to see results, right? I also have a bonus one for you before I end this video, and that's to build your social media to focus on what you have and not what others have. Every day now, our phones occupy like at least 50% of our screen time of our lives. Whether you're on it 50% of the time or you're checking it very frequently, your phones are deal breakers, right? And if you're on Instagram, you're on whatever, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, like build your life so that you set yourself up for success, right? You should be following um, educational pages. You should be following pages that uplift you, you know, pages that make you feel good every time you go on your social media. Things that teach you about wealth building, things that teach you about making money, because you can never learn too much, right? So you need to surround yourself with that. And a good practice for that is to have two social media pages, one where you follow all the bullshit and all the smut, and your main page where you try to build a network that is uplifting and follow uplifting people, right? So that you can put yourself in that space. Social media is mostly about the spaces that you choose to put yourself in, right? You can choose to put yourself here or you can choose to put yourself there. And that's what the internet, that's what the algorithm's going to show you, right? But at the end of the day, it's your life and it's what you choose to do with it that matters, right? But yeah, those were 9 things that I wished that I knew in my early 20s, right? It's up to you guys to make use of it, to do whatever you want with it. But like at the end of the day, it's your life, right? You can choose to do it, you can choose not to do it, but the only person that suffers is you. If you guys enjoyed this, you want to see more content like this, don't forget to follow, subscribe to your boy.